Oh. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om. We had seen the answers by Hastamalaka Chariji to the question Kastvam Shisho Kasya Kutosi Ganta Kim Namate Tvam Kuta Agatosi. O child, who are you? A very simple question. As we saw in the last session, entire Hastamalaka Stotram is clarity about true I. You know, what is true aham? Clarity about that is the main topic of Hastamalaka Stotram. If we look at our own experience, there are two thoughts, you say, or two aspects in which we look at ourselves. One is called as aham, another is called as mama. You know, aham means I, mama means mine. If I have erroneous understanding about aham, my transactions with mama also will be erroneous. Right? If aham I have understood to be finite, no matter how much I increase my mama, this aham will always remain finite. It will not become infinite. Mama means mine. Right? So if something of mine increases, then I feel as though I have become greater. If I purchase, let us say, a lot of land, so that land is mine, I say. But this thought is there that land has become bigger, so I have become bigger. But this mama increasing will actually not give us the true infinitude that we are looking for. Vedanta says, focus on the aham part. Don't look at mama. Let mama be sufficient so that our vyavahara goes on. By making that infinite, we cannot become infinite. You are infinite to begin with. So that is about aham. So that is where Vedanta says, let us try to inquire into what is the nature of this aham. And we cannot let go of this desire to be infinite also. Why? Because it is our swarupa. Whatever is our nature, that we cannot let go of. If you keep water in an elevated position, effortlessly it will flow down. Because its nature will be to come towards a flatter plane to come down. So like this, whatever is nature of something, that cannot be given up. So our nature is infinite. So even that quest to become infinite cannot be given up. Only choice we have is what means are we adopting for that infinitude? Are we adopting the mama part? Mama means mind, making it infinite, or are we focusing on aham? The rishis said, let us focus on aham. Other civilizations, other cultures, they might have focused on mama. Third verse was an indicator. The first answer that Hastamalaka Chariji gave was, from the standpoint of conditionings, I am their prompter. But from my own standpoint, I have no conditionings. From my own standpoint, I am like space, untouched. Many had a question over one point that I had brought up last time, that we said the effect cannot come to destroy the cause. Karanam cannot come to destroy the, or the karyam cannot come to destroy the karanam. Karyam means effect, karanam means the cause. Example we had seen was, the pot cannot come to destroy the clay. Right? So in that way we said, space is the karanam of all elements. In creation process, space is the first element that comes, and all other elements, they follow after it. So space cannot get destroyed by anything else. Okay, so that was the statement I had made. So there was a question, later on, what happens to other elements? Like after space comes air. After air comes fire. After fire comes water. And last one is earth. So between fire and water, what is the cause? Fire is the cause. Water is the effect. The question was, water can come and douse the fire. Right? You are seeing the effect which is there come and affect the cause. How is it possible? So first, we should understand for space example. The main point, if this doesn't work for you, for space you say, because it is niramsha, it is indestructible. Niramsha means without parts. So whatever is without part, that thing is indestructible. Atma is also niramsha. It doesn't have any parts, therefore it is indestructible. Okay. But if you want to understand this example, then what is said there is, water coming and dousing off the fire, that water which we are talking about is panchikruta jala. And fire that we are talking about is panchikruta agni. So when panchikaranam happens, it is not only that element which is there. All 5 elements have combined together to form that element. Okay, so that is one part. When we say space is the cause and air is the effect, air is the cause, fire is the effect, and so on, we are talking about subtle elements. In creation, the first rung of elements that come is subtle elements. From those subtle elements, panchikaranam happens. Okay. So when we say the effect cannot, destroy the cause, what we mean is each element has a guna, right? Like space, what is the guna? Shabda. Air, what is the guna? Sparsha. You must have heard all of them together. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Right. So gandha, fragrance, is the guna of earth element. If you look at the previous element, it will not have guna of the next element. Okay, what is the previous element? Water. Because earth element has come from water, water doesn't have guna, doesn't have fragrance by itself. Okay, mango, for example, is earth element, right? So it has all 5 aspects. You will have Shabda, you will have Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Rupa means form, Rasa means taste. So in water, you will not have taste. I mean, water, you will not have fragrance, okay, of earth. Come to the previous one. Previous one is fire. Okay, so fire will not have taste. Fire will not have fragrance. It will have its own guna, which is rupa. Rupa means form. It will have sparsha. You can touch fire and you can hear sound of fire. Okay, so you see what is happening. All the elements, as you go to the cause, the effects are not seen in that cause. Last one, you come to air. So air will not have these four attributes. It will not have form, rupa, it will not have. It will not have taste of water, and then it will not have the fragrance. We say, oh, air is fragrant. He says that fragrance comes from earth element which is there. That is called as adhyasa. One thing you are superimposing on something else. So in that way, it is said, these five elements which are there, the karyam, the effect which is there, it cannot affect the karanam. Means gunas of karyam are not present in karanam. But in simple words, if you want to understand the space part of it, you can let go of this karya karana. Okay, you can just say niram shatvat, because there are no parts in space. Space is unaffected. Then the next verse spoke about Atma as nitya bodha swarupa. Because the student or the opponent had asked, why do we even need a prompter? Why can't all these sense organs, mind, they just function by themselves? Why can't they happen? So then teacher said, these are all inert. Manaha chakshu adini abodhatmakani. Fourth verse, I'm on. All these things are inert, they cannot function on their own. Through these conditionings, we can recognize the presence of Chaitanya. But all of them are jada, they don't have their own sentiency. What is the sadhana part over here? It is said, in jada, whatever aham buddhi I have, that I should take away. Mentally. We cannot literally take away anything. In Ramayana, the same thought is given in the Dhanush Bhanga Prasanga. Goswamiji writes, what is the symbolic meaning of that Dhanusha? He says, symbolic meaning of that Dhanusha is samsara. Bhava samsara chapu. Chapu means bow. Bhava means the fear of change, fear of samsara. He says that is that Dhanusha. And all other kings who were there, they saw this Dhanush and the world, everything is jada. So more they would go with that abhimana, more they would go with that pride that we will lift this, it would get heavier and heavier. So when Bhagwan comes to lift that Dhanush, Sita ji does a prayer. She says, Nija jadata lo gana paradari. O Dhanush, your jadata which is there, that you please give up. Hu harahu raghupatihi nihari. When Bhagwan comes to lift you, please become lighter. So there the symbolic meaning is, who will be able to lift that Dhanush? One who doesn't have aham buddhi in jadata. If I take myself as inert, I will see the world also as jada only, inert only. But if my aham is pure consciousness, he says this world also will appear in the same way. Right? So taking our mind away or taking our aham buddhi away from this jada vastu, he says that is the Vedanta sadhana part. Right? Shrotradi karana kalapam ujjitva. In Kenopanishad, that is how it was said. Now the opponent has another question. He says, you said this Atma, it prompts all these conditionings, right? Does it prompt only one conditioning or does it prompt all conditionings? We say it prompts all conditionings. So then he says, are there many Atmas? We say, no. There is only one Atma. Although, prompting is happening in many places, there is only one Atma. Then he says, if there is only one Atma, then how come different people are sukhi dukhi at the same time? Right? If one Atma alone is prompting this entire, all different assemblages, then how come one person is sukhi, another person is dukhi? He says everybody should have been sukhi at the same time, everybody should have been dukhi at the same time. You see where this doubt is coming from? That opponent feels sukha dukkha is nature of Atma. Okay? Because we have some Vedanta samskara, we feel what kind of question this is. We know that sukha dukkha belongs to mind, not to Atma. But if somebody does independent thinking, they will say sukha dukkha belongs to Atma. Next question he asks is, if one person is liberated, is it not that everybody should be liberated? Because you said only one Atma. Meaning, what is his thought? That bandha moksha belongs to Atma. Vedanta says no. Sukha dukkha, bandha moksha, everything belongs to this mind. Chidabhasa, reflected consciousness. As Atma, you are ever free. Okay? It's a very beautiful verse. Example is given of a mirror. Okay, 5th verse. Mukhabhasako darpane drishyamanaha. Mukhabhasako darpane drishyamanaha. Mukhatvat pruthaktvena naivasti vastu. Mukhatvat pruthaktvena naivasti vastu. Chidabhasako dhishu jivo pitadvate. Chidabhasako dhishu jivo pitadvate. Sanityopalabdhisvarupo hamatma. Sanityopalabdhisvarupo hamatma. Mukhabhasakaha darpane drishyamanaha. The reflection. Mukhabhasa means reflection of the face when it is seen in the mirror. Mukhabhasakaha darpane drishyamanaha. That face which is seen in the mirror. Mukhatvat pruthaktvena na eva asti vastu. Although you are seeing the reflection other than the original face, there is nothing there. I mean, there is no real entity there called as reflection. Mukhatvat pruthaktvena. Different from the original face, there is nothing called as the reflection. Chidabhasako dhishu jivopi tadvata. Chidabhasa means Chit abhasa. Just like you had Mukha abhasa, we have Chit abhasa. He says that Chidabhasa is also in the same way. Where is it getting reflected? In this buddhi. Chidabhasakaha dhishu jivaha api. So that consciousness reflected in buddhi is called as jivaha. Other conditionings are also there. Remember the 5 things for a jiva. Right? Pure consciousness, reflected consciousness, gross, subtle, and causal body. All 5 things are there, but predominantly reflected consciousness alone is called as jiva. Chidabhasako dhishu jivaha api tadvata. That pure consciousness I am, not the reflected one. Saha nitya upalabdhi swarupaha aham atma. This is the literal meaning of this verse. If you remember, in our Chandogya, there was one point that had come. When the creation process was described, the Shruti mantra said, Anena jivena atmana anupravishya nama rupam vyakarot. Nama rupam vyakaravani iti. Means this Sat alone has entered Jiva as Chidabhasa. Right? All the Andaja, Udbhija, like that, different types of births were given. It is said the same consciousness entered as Chidabhasa. So the opponent asked, it doesn't look like a good proposition. Why is that Sat, which is infinite, free by itself, wanting to enter a conditioning and get bound? So Bhagwan Shankaracharya had written, Sat is not entering. It is only this Chidabhasa which is entering. I have to use that Chidabhasa and turn my attention to that Sat. Sat is never bound. Chidabhasa appears to be bound. Okay? Because it is getting reflected in the medium, that is all is getting bound. So now this is example of a mirror. Right? So whenever examples are given, we should reflect more on that example and try to draw the parallels. So what is the parallel over here? What is the example? There is face and there is reflection of face. In the same way, there is Sat or Chaitanya and there is reflected consciousness. One is called as Chit, the reflection is called as Chidabhasa. Now, a few pointers about these parallels between the mirror example and Chaitanya Chidabhasa. First is what we saw in the verse itself. Mukhatvat pruthatvena naivasti vastu. Means what is there is Chit alone, like in the mirror, right? You cannot see the reflection unless the original is there. So one cannot say, I am seeing the reflection, but I have doubt about whether original is there or not. Means I am seeing my reflection in the mirror, but I don't know whether face is there or not. You see how, funny it looks to make that statement. We should come to Chidabhasa and do the same statement. I know that Chidabhasa is there. Where is it expressing? It is expressing as ahankara. It is expressing as thought. All of them are inert, but they are enlivened. Enlivened by what? Enlivened by this reflected consciousness. But if I say, okay, I know that ahankara is there, I know that thought is there, but I have doubt about whether Chaitanya is there or not. We say, don't have that doubt. If you are seeing reflection, original is there in the same place. Right? Like if you are seeing your face in the mirror, face is not somewhere else. Face is right there in front of the mirror. Okay, so this is the first one. Second is, although there are two things appearing, there is face also and there is my reflection of face also. We say there are no two real things. Okay? There are no two real things. Meaning if you want to apply chandanam, you don't apply it once on your forehead and again go and apply it on the reflection, right? Because it is not even there. Shaving also, you do one shaving here and then again you want to do it there. No, only one thing is there. One is real, another is unreal. Okay, this is mirror example. Between Chaitanya and Chidabhasa, same thing you apply. Between consciousness and reflected consciousness, there are no two things. One is real. Chaitanya alone is real. What is appearing there is only, it is an appearance. It doesn't have an independent reality. What is this Chidabhasa? Don't make it a technical word. Chidabhasa means that consciousness reflected in this ahankara. What I call as this person. Different thoughts which are gushing in my mind. You see, all of that is Chidabhasa. Play of Chidabhasa. We say that doesn't have independent existence. Just like this example. The reflection doesn't have independent existence. Third one is, somebody might ask, then what is the purpose of that reflection? We say it has a lot of purpose. You can use that reflection to shift attention to original. Right? Only thing we should be careful is not get carried away by that reflection. Mirror in Sanskritam is called as darpanam. And the etymology, one of the etymology of darpanam is darpam nayati. Means that which increases our darpa. Darpa means I am also somebody. That kind of thought is called as darpa. And that is why it is very strategically used in many places. In particular, where there is a waiting time involved, right? Like in a restaurant or something where you have to wait for some time, you'll see a lot of mirrors. Even in elevator, when you go up, you will see many mirrors on the sides. One is, of course, it increases the dimension of space. And small space will look bigger because of that mirror. But most importantly, that person will be busy. Whenever you look, no matter how perfect you are, you still feel that something, you can do. So that person is kept occupied. So there it is said not to get carried away by that reflection. That is the first thing. If I want to shift attention to original. Not getting carried away, also not giving reality to that reflection. Right? What are these pointers? How to shift attention to original. If I get carried away by that reflection, I don't have time to think about original. Even in that reflection, mirror reflection example. So don't give reality to it. Don't get carried away by it. And third is, don't insist on non-perception. Right? Knowledge is that which will tell me, even if two things are appearing, there is only one. If I say every time I want to shift attention, I have to remove the mirror. Then only I will know that only I am there. You say no need. We have to just understand that there is only one. So now you come to Chaitanya and Chidabhasa. What is the parallel? Not to get carried away by this ahankara, not to get carried away by this thoughts. Not giving reality to them. That is another aspect. And third is not insisting on non-perception. If I say to turn attention to Atma, every time I should have abhava of anatma. You say, no, that is not the true knowledge. What is true knowledge? That anatma is a reflection in Atma. Right? Whatever is appearing is it is an appearance in Atma, and within that there is reflected consciousness which is coming. Right? Because the conditionings are also appearance in Atma only. We should not say that buddhi is independently created and within that, reflection of consciousness is happening. Not in that way. Even buddhi also has come from Atma, and within that buddhi, reflected consciousness is appearing. There is one picture in my room of Puja Guruji sitting on a desk, and his image is reflected on the table. And there is one line that he has written, this world is his reflection. This world is his reflection. Chaitanya Pratibimba, it is this entire creation. Then the fourth one is, limitations of the mirror don't come in original. That is another thing. Mirror might be concave, convex, whatever might happen in the mirror, that doesn't come to the face. Original face is unaffected by reflected. So Chaitanya also, whatever happens to ahankara and vrittis, says Atma, that Sat, Chaitanya is unaffected by those things. Okay. And last one is, as many mirrors, so many reflections. One thing alone can appear as many number of conditionings, that many reflections will appear. So in the case of Chaitanya also, now the Hastamalaka is answering the Purva Paksha. What did you ask? That one Atma is there, then everybody should be Sukhi at the same time. Everybody should be Dukhi at the same time. His first thing we want to say is, Sukha Dukkha belongs to Chidabhasa, not to Chaitanya. Okay, that is the first thing. And how can one appear as many? He says, if conditionings are many, there can be several reflections. The original is not becoming many, it is only one. Okay, so that is why it is Sa Nityaha Upalabdhi Swarupa, that Atma I am. Now, student has another question. He says, I understood that there is only Atma which is never bound, it is free. And you said Chidabhasa is not even existing. There is only one thing. Right? If that is the case, then for whom is scriptures? Atma does not need Shastra because it is ever free. And Chidabhasa, you said, is mitya, it doesn't even exist. Just like for that reflected face, you will not have a different hat. Right? Only one you will have for Atma, I mean for the face, but in this case, even the original does not need anything. So he says, Mithya Vastu, you will not have any Vidhi Nisheda. You will not have any teaching that you will give to this thing which is not even there. So to answer that is the next verse. 6th verse. Yatha darpana bhava abhasahano. Yatha darpana bhava abhasahano. Mukham vidyate kalpanahinamekam. Mukham vidyate kalpanahinamekam. Tatha dhiviyoge nirabhasako yah. तथा धीवियोगे निराभासको यः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपो हमात्मा स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपो हमात्मा. Yatha, just as darpana abhava abhasa hanav. When you remove the mirror, when mirror is removed, the reflection also goes away. Mukham vidyate kalpanahinam ekam. What remains? Face alone remains without any other kalpana, without any other doubts. Whether that reflection is also there or, what is the relation between both of them. Like that, how all doubts are removed. In that way, tatha dhi viyoge nirabhasa koyah. When these conditionings, dhi is representing all conditionings starting from this mind. When viyoga of that happens, when they are understood to be mithya, understood to be not having independent reality, nirabhasakaha yaha, that Atma which remains without reflected consciousness, that Atma I am. Saha nitya upalabdhi swarupaha aham Atma. Now this verse we have to carefully understand, because darpana bhava is said. Means literally the mirror is removed and the reflection is gone away. But what that means is, reality given to those conditionings, that is removed. Because you cannot remove mind, you cannot remove body. And if that becomes our path, we can try it, but it will be a lot of struggle. Right? Every time mind comes, even if you are able to remove, let us say, for some time, it will again come back. Right? Like in deep sleep, we remove all conditionings, but for how long? It again comes back. So more important than non-perception is clarity of knowledge of this point. And after that knowledge has taken place, if we want to sit in one place and just abide in this knowledge, right? Leaving aside all other conditioning, that is okay. But only mix-up should not happen in terms of what is Brahma Jnana. not non-perception of conditionings, but negating the reality given to those conditionings. That is why it is said, tatha dhi viyoge. Dhi viyoge means when buddhi is falsified. Nirabhasaka yah. Means this aham, which I called as this ahankara, or this body, this person to begin with, when finitude is removed from this aham, when finitude is removed from this aham, what remains, he says, that I am. And the opponent had asked a question, right? What is the purpose of Shastra? He says, purpose of Shastra is this. From aham, from I, to remove the erroneous conditionings which have been included in I. Okay, so Atma doesn't need moksha, Atma doesn't need Shastra, but this misunderstood entity, Chidabhasa, which is there, although it is mitya, but the sadhaka feels, I am that. Right? Means sadhaka means Atma alone is getting deluded. Atma alone is thinking, I am this Chidabhasa. How it is thinking, he says it is inexplicable. Right now, are you feeling that or not? If somebody tries to dismiss the possibility of bondage, our Shastra say, just go by your experience first. Logically, if you prove bondage is not possible and you are still bound at the end of the day, it didn't serve its purpose. Right? So logic should be used in such a way that it leads us to our own nature as Atma. What did the opponent say? If Chidabhasa is mithya, then why do you need Shastra for that? So teacher is saying, even if it is mithya, how do we feel about aham right now? I feel I am this person, I am this finite entity. To remove that notion of finitude, Shastra has come. There is a very interesting discussion later. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he says, Jnanam does not give moksha. He says, Jnanam, he says, really? Can you say that again? We heard karma does not give moksha. How come Jnanam does not give moksha? In the sense that knowledge does not produce any kind of liberation. It only tells us that as this Atma, we were ever liberated. In fact, we are liberated. Right? What we say, Nitya Mukta, Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta. That Nitya Mukta means that there was never a time when Atma and conditionings came together. Conditioning means what? Aham, Chaitanya, and this conditioning of mind. They were never in contact. They were ever separate. So knowledge will take place in this way, that I was ever liberated. Out of ignorance, I thought I was bound. Just like that, Swakanta Bharanam. Even when I thought it was lost and I was searching so many places, now that knowledge of that necklace should not say that, now I have attained that necklace. This is a very subtle point. Necklace was always there, but my attention was somewhere else. But main point is, Jnanam only tells us that I am ever liberated. Okay, so this point also we should note over here. There is one statement, that only one sentence I will read. Bhagwan Shankaracharya writes, Atma ajnana krutaha ayam buddhyadi prapanchaha. He says, what is this prapancha? He says, not pancha mahabhuta, not other things. He says it is only result of Atma ajnana. What we otherwise call as avidya, kama, karma, whatever you want to follow the sequence. Because I don't know my nature as pure consciousness, Brahma, taken myself to be this finite being, entertained lot of desires. Now I'm getting different karma phalas. So do the reverse trend. And if you see, karma phala means what? Jagat. What is this creation? He says it is a system of Bhagavan to give us different karma phalas. So trace it back. So you will realize what is there at the root of this creation is avidya. That avidya, once it goes, he says it will remove adhyasa. Adhyasa means mix up between I and this conditioning. That has to go. He says mix up alone is the cause of sorrow. Mix up alone is the cause of bondage. All this is an answer to the Purva Paksha's question. He asked, why do you need Shastra? He says, we need Shastra because Ajnanam is there. That Ajnanam has to go. Ignorance has to go. Ignorance about what? Ignorance about aham. Again and again, I keep feeling that I am this finite being. That ignorance has to go. So with that, the resultant of that is adhyasa. What Gurudev used to call it as non-apprehension and misapprehension. Non-apprehension of the truth leads to misapprehension of the truth. So non-apprehension, you can call it as ajnanam. Misapprehension, you can call it as adhyasa. So about aham, I should have that clarity that I am not a finite being. Now there are some, other schools of thoughts which say maybe buddhi alone is atma. Because whatever aham buddhi we have, right? Some people say body is atma, some people say mind is atma, like buddhi is atma, in that way. So to refute that idea, this next verse has come, that mind or buddhi is separate and atma is different from this buddhi. Okay, 7th verse. Manaschakshurader viyukta swayam yaha. Manaschakshurader viyukta swayam yaha. Manaschakshurader manaschakshuradihi. Manaschakshurader manaschakshuradihi. Manaschakshurader agamya swarupah. Manaschakshurader agamya swarupah. Sanityopalabdhi swarupo hamatma. Sanityopalabdhi swarupo hamatma. The poetic beauty is Manaschakshu Adi comes in all 3 quarters, but in different vibhakti, different cases. That is what changes the meaning. First one is Manaschakshu Adehe, Manaschakshuradehe, Viyuktaha Swayam Yaha. Manaschakshuradehe is 5th case. From Manaschakshu Adi, that Atman which is different from all these things. Yaha Atma Swayam Manaschakshu Adehe Viyuktaha. Atman is that which is different from mind, sense organs, everything. Then Manaschakshuradehe Manaschakshuradihi. It is the mind of the mind, eye of the eye, ear of the ear, and so on. So this is in first case. Manaschakshuradehe Manaschakshur Adihi. Of all this mind, sense organs, it is the substratum of that. Similar to our Kenopanishad mantra. Shrotrasya Shrotram. Third line is Manaschakshuradehe Agamya Swarupa. This is 6th case. Means by Manaschakshuradihi, or through them, that which is beyond all of them. So what is Atma? Atma is that which is beyond Manaha Chakshuh Adihi. You cannot know Atma through these things. Okay, Manaschakshuradehi Agamya, that which is beyond the reach. Sa nitya upalabdhi swarupoham atma. That nitya upalabdhi swarupa atma I am. Okay, beyond sense organs, different from sense organs, mind, etc. The substratum of sense organs, mind, everything. And then that which eyes cannot reveal, mind cannot think of. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, no manaha, everything. Now, if you have studied Kenopanishad with Bhashya, you will find lot of pointers for each line, and those pointers will help us deepen our understanding of these innocent-looking mantras. Right? Manaschakshuradehe viyuktaha swayam yaha. Even other texts we should take support. How do you say that mind, sense organs are different from Atma? We say whatever is drishya, it is different from drashta. Remember the Drigdrishya Viveka, we had seen this. If I am seeing this harmonium, the very fact I am seeing it means seer has to be different from this harmonium. Eyes are the seer, harmonium is the seen. So like this you come to mind, sense organs, everything. They become seen. That is why seer has to be different from them. Anytime we have a doubt, where is Atma? Don't go anywhere. Huh? Come right here and say whatever is the witness of thought, that is who I am. Okay, this is from Drigdrishya Viveka. Next is Manaschakshuradehe Manaschakshuradihi. Shrotrasya Shrotram, Manaso Manoyat. It is the ear of the ear. So all that discussion should come in mind. Third one, Manaschakshuradehe Agamya Swarupa. Atma is that which cannot be reached by sense organs. We say why? You remember there was one Hetu given. Swatmani Kriya Abhavat. Means the same thing cannot become the object of its action. Right? The subject and the object cannot be one and the same thing. Like Rameshaha Gruham Gacchati. Rameshaha is the subject, Gruham is the object. You cannot say Rameshaha Ramesham Gacchati. Right? And we saw the example of also you cannot sit on your own shoulders and so on. Means the same thing cannot become subject and the object. So when it is said Manaha Chakshuhu Adehe Agamya Swarupaha, Manaha Chakshu Adi, they are enlivened or they have their substratum as Atma. So Atma again cannot become object of mind. Atma again cannot become object of eyes. You remember that or not? We had Karta, we said eyes and Atma together. That is whom we call as Karta. Karta means seer, the doer of action. You cannot call Atma as Karta, nor can you call only eyes as Karta. Both together you will call as Karta. Their object cannot be Atma again. Their object will be something else of the world, which is a object, form. So in the same way, over here also, Manaschakshu Adehe Agamya Swarupaha. Atma is the enlivener of all these conditionings. It cannot become their object. These two verses, 6 and 7, if you want one line for each verse, right? What does 6th verse tell us? It says Vedanta is here to make us independent. Okay. What we saw in 6th verse, right? Darpana abhava. Means all conditionings which are there, including this mind. Vedanta says, establish in your true nature, don't depend even on this mind. What is true independence? Vedanta will tell us. 7th verse, if you want one line, it says, don't try to see Ananda outside. Right? Why? Because it is said, this Chaitanya Swarupa is not outside, it is not drishya, it is drashta. Right? Manaschakshuradehe viyukta swayamyaha. Manaschakshuradehe manaschakshuradihi. So don't insist on wanting to see Ananda through physical eyes or wanting to see, this Brahma through mind. Most importantly, Vishyananda also. Not seeing them through eyes and mind. You see, it is our own Swarupa. This same verse, Manaschakshuradihi viyukta swayam yaha, instead of saying Sat or Chaitanya, you put the word Ananda there. What is Ananda? It says Ananda is that which is different from mind and sense organs. Okay. What is Ananda? Second line, Ananda is that which enlivens all other Ananda. Ananda huke, Ananda data. That is this. Then third line, Manaschakshuradehe agamya swarupa. That Ananda, don't try to seek it through physical eyes or through mind. Why? Because that Ananda I am. I don't have to seek it outside. Whenever we do Vedanta Chintanam, replacing Sat Chit with Ananda opens up many things. Why? Because Ananda is what we are searching. And if I know where is the real address of that, it becomes more meaningful to me. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If there are any questions, you can type it here. If Chidabhasa is just a reflected consciousness, how can we reconcile its independent act, just as creating thoughts, etc.? That is true, because the mirror reflection does not do anything on its own, right? It doesn't start going here, going there. So for Chidabhasa, the way it is understood is, all of the independent act as though whatever is happening is part of Maya. Right? So because there is action happening doesn't mean it is independent. So when we say independence, it is more from the standpoint of where is it borrowing its existence from. Like Brahman does not control Chidabhasa or Maya in a very specific way. Right? Like if you're doing a particular task, you say, I want to control everything. Right? Not in that way it is controlling. It is just lending sentiency and lending existence. So whatever other Leela has to happen, that is part of Chidabhasa, which is playing it based on Maya only, not on its own. In that way we should look at it. If there is anything that we discussed today which is not clear, if I went quickly over some part, that also you can ask. If you want to be repeated any portion. If not, we'll meet next time.